So this past week, starting on Sunday, I've been averaging about 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I have a 7 a.m. every single day, and it's midterms week, so this is pretty normal. That's why I'm going to ask you guys, is there anyone in this classroom who, on average, gets 9 hours of sleep on a weekday? 8? 2? 7 hours? I bless you guys. Anyways, if anything, that just proves a point, because Shelley Hirschner from the University of Michigan's Department of Neurology claims that 50% of college students report daytime sleepiness, and 70% say they don't get enough sleep. So I'm not exactly sleeping 5 hours a day on purpose. I'm not trying to make myself build character, because that's just stupid. I try my best to take naps during the day to rejuvenate myself, but a journal titled Brain, Fear, and Immunity actually made me rethink my whole system. So while napping does mitigate some of the consequences from not getting enough sleep, it doesn't actually make up for the lack of quality sleep. So what it's saying is napping isn't enough. You need to get that full 7 hours of quality sleep. And just like everyone else, I want more sleep and it better be quality. So that's why I researched the causes of sleep deprivation. And in my research, I found all kinds of reasons that could possibly apply to why you're not getting enough sleep. And I narrowed it down to about 4 that we can more easily relate to. So first off, is actually something that we all have to attend. School is doing more than you know in not letting you get enough sleep. In a study by the American Academy of Pediatrics, it looked at various studies which looked at different start times, an hour earlier or an hour later, and their effects on middle schoolers and high schoolers. For the group of students who had to go to school 1 hour earlier, they actually found that 50% of the students got less than 7 hours of sleep. And what it showed was that even though they had to wake up an hour earlier, no one went to bed earlier. And I'm sure we can all relate. And for the kids who actually got to go to school later, they got an extra hour of sleep. And with that, it actually led to decreased daytime sleepiness. They had better moods. They had less first period tardies. And they actually had better grades. So, I mean, getting that extra hour of sleep clearly shows its benefits, but it actually doesn't mean anything if you're still tired. This was one of the charts that showed you had less tardies for starting school later. Anyways, even if you wake up tired, there's no point in getting enough sleep if you still wake up tired. And for a lot of students, their solution is caffeine. So that leads me to my second point, which is the detriments of caffeine on you. So Cal Poly already makes it clear how important Starbucks is. There's 2 of them on campus, and we have a truck. So while that energy drink late at night or that early morning coffee may seem like a necessity for you to get through your day, it's actually harming you more than it's helping you. In a report done by the American Academy of Pediatrics, it showed that caffeine in large quantities actually made you more dependent on it, and you had a hard time falling asleep. So that leads you to a pretty nasty cycle where you wake up tired, you drink coffee, drink some more coffee, and then you go to bed late, and you wake up tired. So that a lot of students actually fall into this cycle, and it's very bad for their health. And following coffee, the third thing is actually how we prioritize things as students. We all value our education, and for a lot of us, choosing our academics over sleep is pretty common. Personally, I prefer staying up late at night and just cramming it all rather than waking up in the morning, because I know when I wake up in the morning, nothing's going to happen. And in a study done by Kari Gillian O'Neill, she looked at the correlation between sleep and GPA for high school students. What it found was that students who studied more had better GPAs, but also students who slept more had better GPAs. And her conclusion was that even though studying more does get you better grades, the benefits of studying versus studying over sleeping weren't as great as they were perceived to be. And it's actually better to balance yourself as best you can and to get more sleep if possible. So I was actually pretty intrigued by this. And I looked at another research study by Dr. Jane Gontley, and she looked at college students specifically, and she definitely found evidence that showed that sleep meant a higher GPA. So the last thing that I was looking at is something that you might not, that actually everyone applies to, is technology. Both Shelley Hirschner, the doctor I mentioned earlier, as well as the Academy of Pediatrics, show how technology usage is detrimental to your sleep. So those 30 minutes of Facebook or Twitter that you stare at right before you go to bed is actually affecting you a lot more than you might realize. It showed that cell phone, laptop, or television usage right before bed resulted in less restful sleep, repeated awakenings, and earlier awakenings. If you want a more scientific reason for all this, it's actually that our body naturally produces this thing called melatonin, which is a chemical that helps us fall asleep. But the lights that come, or the brightness that comes from your devices actually suppresses melatonin, making it harder for you to sleep. So as a pro tip, I can tell you to download Flux for your laptop. It gives you warmer lights. It's less harsh. And also you can turn on night mode for your iPhones. It actually works for me. I find it a lot easier to just look at my screen late at night. And in conclusion, I've given you some different reasons as to what's keeping you up late at night. And from this, hopefully you can kind of just see what specifically affects you and how you can make changes to help yourself. And hopefully now you can get that extra hour or two of quality sleep.